All right. It's so good to have you here today, Mike. Mike MacArthur, my man.
Yeah, Tony, it's great to be here, brother.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't heard Mike, you must hear him. Besides the clips that I played, you got to go hear this guy live. He's going to be touring with Gino Vannelli.
I'll be in your neck of the woods.
You are.
I am.
I guess you're playing Warren, Ohio.
Yeah, we're doing Pittsburgh and Warren.
Yeah.
Yep. Beginning of May, we'll be up there. So I'll actually get to see you like face to face.
We will be there because, I'm a big Gino fan anyway, and I'm a big Mike MacArthur fan. So I get 2 in 1. So, Mike.
Yep.
Do you remember the moment you fell in love with music, and was there a specific song that made you say, this is what I want to do?
Yes, and there are 2 times. So the first one, I don't even know if you know this about me or not, but I started as a guitar player.
No.
When this was young, this was like probably 4th grade, like before like 5th grade band, I played guitar for a couple years. My dad took me to lessons every Saturday in Caledonia, New York, which is outside of Rochester. Yeah. And I had a teacher named Mr. Ralph, and I called him Mr. Ralph because nobody could pronounce his last name. It was Ralph Shishitano. Oh, so great. Mr. Ralph was my teacher, took lessons with him for probably a couple years. He was going to be leaving that store and not teaching there anymore. And if I couldn't take lessons with Mr. Ralph, I didn't want to play guitar anymore. So to answer your question, on the way home from that lesson, we were listening to the radio. My dad's like, well, do you want to find another guitar player or teacher, in Rochester? And I said, we were listening to the radio, and I said, I want to do that. And it was Huey Lewis and the News, Heart of Rock and Roll saxophone solo.
Awesome. That's great.
We literally rented a saxophone, and that was the beginning of where we are right now. That's like
I love hearing these things.
It was great. It was great.
That's awesome. So you said there were 2 then.
So yeah, I mean, my first love was guitar, and playing like my first recital for guitar, I played "Eye of the Tiger."
Awesome.
Yep. And I probably just played the dun, 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 and that was like super cool. Like I made noise and it sounded like a song. So, mission accomplished.
So next time I get together with you, I'm going to make you play some power chords for me.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to say, Mike, Eye of the Tiger now. Okay.
Well, it just evolved. And after I rented the saxophone, I got involved with 5th grade band, I think was the first real, school kind of thing. And I had 2 really good friends of mine, Bob and Bill Lewis. They were both twin brothers. They were both earth science teachers. They were like family friends. They were almost like uncles to me. And they both played trombone. So they were in the Geneseo Jazz Ensemble. I would go see them all the time and got to meet some wonderful players, one of which was Brian Scanlon, the sax player with, he's actually with the Gordon Goodwin big band. He's an LA guy that we go way back to then. So I saw him when he was doing his master's at college. He was one of the guys that I kind of first listened to.
Yeah. Now, didn't Gordon just pass away recently?
He did, man.
What a giant loss. He was great. He was really great. Yeah. Wow, that's something. Well, I love hearing people's origins. I really do.
Yeah.
I know that I have my own stories because of my father being a musician. So.
Sure.
So I have another question for you here. Who were some of the players or artists that really shaped your sound early on? And did you have any mentors or teachers along the way? I know I did.
Absolutely, man. As far as players go, some of my, like when I was really young, all I did was played alto. So I wanted to be either Cannonball Adderley, Maceo Parker, or Charlie Parker, like those, like Maceo and Cannonball was like my thing. That's all I wanted to do. But as I grew into being more of a tenor player and that, all the usual suspects, Hank Mobley, Stanley Turrentine, Michael Brecker, all the guys. There's so many cats. And oddly enough, one of the first saxophone players I listened to in high school because we did some of the charts was a guy named Jeff Kashua, who since then, fast forward 35 years, he and I are really good friends and we talk all the time. And he's just a phenomenal human being as well as a killer player. So
he's a great player. And if folks don't know, I believe he played with the Rippingtons.
That's where I heard him first.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Yep.
Great stuff.
Yep.
In fact, I love Stanley Turrentine, and he's from Pittsburgh, PA. And actually, my father got to play with him.
Oh,
And
wow.
I always just loved Stanley's big fat tone, and that's what I love. One of the things I love about you, you have that nice, warm, big tone. And
Thank
that's
you.
great. That's
I played a little cigar bar in Clearwater years and years ago. And it was the kind of thing where, like maybe 60% of the people that were there were listening. The rest were just kind of hanging out, blah, blah, blah. So we were playing a set, blah, blah, blah. We get done. This little lady comes up to me and grabs my hand and just she kind of caresses it. And she goes, "I just have to tell you, my husband would have loved listening to you play tonight." And I'm like, "Well, that's so sweet." I said, "Did your husband play the saxophone?" She goes, "He was a little sax player. His name was Stanley Turrentine. I just wanted you to know that." She gave me a kiss on the cheek and she left. I was like,
cool.
oh my God, this is so cool.
That's very cool.
I could have sat and talked to her for hours, just talking to her,
Oh, yeah.
asking stories and questions. But yeah, it was just so sweet.
Well, she knew. She heard you.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. So
Yeah.
I know you're close with a guy named Bill Tiberio. Tell me about him.
So Bill was, he started teaching at my high school when I entered high school, like 8th, 9th grade. He was out of college and doing his student teaching thing. And from that moment on, he was like he was the constant of my teachers through all the years. I had other great teachers at Eastman School of Music, Mike Teitelbaum, and one who actually lives down here, Lou DiBonzo. But Bill Tiberio and I have just kind of kept in touch for the past, 35 years since I've left, and I've gone back to do concerts and clinics at the high school with him as a special guest, which is always a great feeling to go back to your high school and kind of pass it along to the kids who are growing up. And he's been there so long that now he's got like students' kids in the whole thing, and almost, he's going to kill me because I'm going to make him sound old. He almost has like students of his when I was there, kids, like almost like a 3-generation thing. He's been doing it for 42 years, man.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
But yeah, he was a major influence in my life and still is today. We hang out, talk all the time, play together whenever we can.
It's so great that you get to do that. There was a guy named Jack Seibel that was my Bill Tiberio. But unfortunately, when I was a junior in high school, he passed away at a concert at the high school.
Oh my gosh.
Jack. But I'll never forget the guy because much like you, I know that you've been involved with playing shows with Bill and all that stuff. Jack was calling me for gigs, and I was, I'm like 15, 16 years old, and I'm going out and playing some jazz gigs and such.
That's great.
So yeah, it was a shock when he passed, but I'll never forget the guy because he was one of those guys that would just take the smallest improvement that you made and make such a big deal out of it that you wanted to go home and do more for him. Yep. So it's great having people like that. And I love when I see you post stuff about you and Bill, because it reminds me of Jack. And it also, I often wonder, boy, had he lived longer, what
would have gone? Yeah, how far would have gone? Yep.
Yeah. But I'll never forget the guy. I have to tell you, there was a friend of mine that could never say Maynard right. She would call him Maynard Ferguson.
There you go.
She did. That Maynard, he can really play. Moving on.
Yeah.
Michael, you have performed with an incredible range of artists, from Maynard Ferguson to Gino Vannelli, to Tower of Power, Diane Schuur, all these people. What have those different musical worlds taught you about adaptability as a musician?
Wow, man, you're digging right in. That's a loaded question. There's so many ways to answer that. I guess to the umbrella to that question for me would be, when I get called to do a gig, there's a function, right? Like there's a function of why they're calling me. I either have the right sound or the right feel, or I know somebody or whatever. But when the lights go on and the downbeat happens, your job or my job as a saxophone player is to make the artist or whoever's name is on the bill look good. Like, end of story. That is like the goal. So, and then under that, a lot of things fall into place. How easy are you to get along with outside the stage, in the dressing room, in the bus, or just hanging out? Or, how professional are you on the stage? How do you show up on time? Do you have the right equipment? Do you do your homework and become prepared? Like all of those things. But I guess it all falls under, you're there to make the artist look good, period. And whatever you got to do to get there, you do your homework and do it.
Great answer. I agree with you 1,000,000%, but I wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always times where, and that's the beauty of working for different artists like that. Some want you to kind of like be in that box as this is what I want to hear. And there's some that give you the freedom of like, hey, this is kind of what we need, but be you.
Yes.
And that's kind of, it's great, but sometimes that can be almost harder because you're like, okay, how do I, pay tribute to what this song or this artist needs, but still be me without having a great departure from the music.
Right.
So, like Gino Vannelli, you play the I Just Want to Stop saxophone solo. Everybody knows that solo.
Yeah.
So you've got to at least give them the bullet points of what they recognize. And then the rest you can kind of sprinkle in.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Well, thank you.
Was the original version Ernie Watts?
Yes.
Who was that?
Yep.
Another guy.
Yep. And, all the sax players that he's had over the years did a wonderful job of making that happen. And they're all kind of their own little footprint on it. So I was lucky to have all the previous guys to kind of pull from and get the inspiration from.
Well, I heard you playing it, and you still sound like you playing it. So that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, you do. Okay, so tell me of everything you can about your current situation with the legendary Gino Vannelli.
Man, there's so much honored, lucky, grateful, excited, like all of the things. Like when I was mid-October and I just got a call from Gino and Ross, and they're like, hey, can you do some of these gigs and blah, blah, blah. And now rewind for the past 10 years or so, I had been, when they were in Florida, I would be hired as the other saxophone player in the section, and I would do the Florida dates. So I've had a relationship with them for a decade or more, but I was never on the band. It was like, hey, I'll see you next year when you come to Florida for a few gigs, Yeah. And then this time it was like, oh, well, is this like a real deal? They're like, well, we hope so. Can you join the band? I'm like, absolutely. Gino's calling me and asking me. He can have whoever he wants. I'm as honored as it gets to say he picked me, for whatever reason, whether I had a good rapport with the band or I had just done the job the right way in the past. I don't know, but I'm grateful.
All of the above, I'm sure,
Yeah, so it's wonderful. And they're, when you get to a level like that, it's not only musically, but just people-wise. Like, there's nothing to prove. It's very relaxed. It's very thought out. It's about the music as much as the people. So they value the people in the band as much as the music and vice versa. It's just a refreshing scenario to be in with the people involved and the music involved and the way you're treated. I can't say enough good stuff.
That's great. Well, I will say you deserve it, number one.
Oh, thank you.
And number two, I hope that any of you young musicians out there that are listening to this can listen to Mike's words, because all of that is so important. And never take any show that you do lightly. I mean, even if it's the smallest gig that you do, because you never know who hears you. Never know. I know for me, every time I went out, it was, I gave my all every time, because number one, that's kind of how I feel like I need to roll anyway. But number two, you don't know who's listening. You just don't know who will hear you. So, Mike, you've been doing it right for years.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I took, obviously from high school, even with Bill Tiberio, but with Maynard Ferguson almost more, because with Maynard, like, you left it all on stage, man. You just put it all out there and you just dump it all. Like, good, bad, ugly, you make it work, and then you pick and choose how to move forward. But with that, there was no like mediocre playing on that band. It was fire, 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 fire. I don't care if you're playing a ballad or a burning jazz tune or a Latin or a funk, whatever you did, it was just let it all hang out. And that was just something that stuck with me.
That is so great. Now, when you were with Maynard, there's a few of my Pittsburgh friends. Paul Thompson. Was he with Maynard at all?
Absolutely. Then? Paul Thompson, Dave Throckmorton. Those were the two guys I was going to mention. Yep. That's great. And Reggie Watkins.
Oh, yes. Reggie, trombone. Great trombone player. Yeah. If you don't know who Maynard Ferguson was, check him out. Known for his severely high trumpet playing, and I don't mean he's wasted. I played with a couple guys that were severely high.
We've all been there.
Anyway, he was amazing. So that's also another wonderful artists you've gotten to play with, Mike.
Yep.
Mike, your solo recordings really showcase your own voice. How do you balance being a strong sideman for other artists while also staying connected to your own artistic integrity or identity?
I guess if I were to look at me from my point of view, I don't see myself as strong of a solo artist, but more of a guy who could make somebody look good.
Okay.
Like, that's how I kind of see it. So it's been a struggle for me to do albums and be like, okay, how do I make this me? Because I'm so used to doing the task at hand of making whatever I'm doing good, that when it's like, okay, what do you want to do? It's like, I like everything. How do you do it all of everything in one album? You know, like, I don't know. I could go the funky TOP horn section route, or I could do a Cannonball Adderley thing, or I could do a Stanley Turn, or like an organ shuffle thing, or a funky, like, I don't know. My albums are kind of like a couple stabs of them are like a smooth jazz world kind of thing to play that game. And then the last one that I did, that Looking Back album, was just, it's called Looking Back because I picked tunes that meant something to me over the past 30 years. So the song on that album has a connection to my roots as a saxophone player, or why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that's kind of where it came from.
Well, then one of our other questions was going to be about your albums and which one was the most personal for you. So I would say that one is the I think Looking Back, and you know this as well as anybody, that the more you have under your belt and the more the years go by, you can kind of see things a little bit clearer, and you just mature a little bit, whether you like it or not. Like, it's just inherent in your playing and the experiences you've had. At some point, you're just like, okay, this is me and I'm comfortable doing it. So I'm not going to try to be something I'm not. Right. I'm not going to try to put out something just because that's what the world says the world needs. Right. I'm going to do something that I love, That's awesome. And I've heard the album and it's wonderful. So
well, thank you.
You're doing the right thing.
Well, I had great players too. I mean, you guys like Carl Fisher, who got me on Maynard Ferguson's band back in the day, playing trumpet, and we blend so well together. It's just always fun. So, it was stacked with great players and good people.
That's great.
Can't go wrong.
That's great. Now, I know you're kind of downplaying being a solo artist, but I mean, I've heard your stuff and I've played with you, and I do believe you're a solo artist as well. I just, I know you're doing other gigs, and it's
sure
because you can do that. That's the thing. You can do what a lot of people can't, and that is become the guy that's backing people up. And some people were just cut out to be a leader or just a side guy, or and I think you're one of those guys that can do both, in my opinion.
Yeah, so they're definitely different. Well, you've done it.
I have.
They're different hats. I mean, it's really a different mindset from going to a gig knowing that you're the one that's on the microphone and calling tunes and, letting guys blow and making sure that the show has, one of the curve of a show, or the rise of a show, or how it's put together, and the people and the musicians, versus, hey, I got hired to do this job. I need to nail it.
Right.
It's a different brain split.
It is, but you do it all well, is what I'm
Well, thank you.
saying.
It's fun.
So your bio talks about approaching music with energy, passion, and authenticity. What does authenticity mean to you at this point in your life and career?
So it's kind of everything. Like, authenticity means I'm not trying to be somebody else, but I'm using everything we all do. Everybody who's a great player, you're Sonny Rollins, you're Michael Brecker, you're Miles Davis, you're Cannonball Adderley, you're Hank Mobley, you're like, everybody stole from somebody else, from the guy before you, right? So it's the authenticity part means you've got I'm an Italian, right? You got a pot of sauce, right? It's just cooking. Like, you've got to figure out what's yours, how to pick and choose what you want to make it your own, and then have your own voice somehow. But those influences, no matter how hard you try, are going to show up, because that's what molded you into the player that you are. So authenticity to me means not trying too hard to be something that I'm not. I'm not trying to be a Michael Brecker. I'm not trying to be a Stanley Turrentine, but I love the aspects of those playings. I know that Ron Reinhardt's on the album, and his dad was another great sax player. And his dad, years and years ago, said something to me that I never knew, and it clicked. He goes, man, well, you know who David Sanborn listened to, right? I'm like, I never really thought about that. Like, he listened to all the same guys like we did, right? He's like, no, man, he wanted to be Hank Crawford. And I was like, Hank Crawford? So I went back and listened to some Hank Crawford records, and I was like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. That's like a young Sanborn. It was crazy, but my brain had never clicked. So it's funny how as players, you kind of fall into a certain thing of certain players that you like and enjoy, forgetting that there's a whole nother world of guys I've probably never even heard that I can learn from as well.
Right. And it's funny because Curtis Swift, my friend, who's also a fine saxophonist, he'll be on coming up on one of the interviews, but we played together in a band. He was in my band for over 20 years. So, and Curtis has this Southern accent, and he came up to me one day, he goes, "Hey, Tone, what do you think Michael Brecker likes to eat?" And I said, gee, I never thought about food, Curtis, when I'm hearing Michael Brecker. He goes, "No, man, what he listens to." I said, "Oh, yeah." So, and I said, well, John Coltrane for sure.
Of course. But
yeah, we all have our things. I mean, I always tell like the students I've taught, like, don't copy people, use them as influences and try to like go dig deeper and try to find out the concept. If you learn a lick, we'll call it, or a line from somebody, try to figure out the concept. Like, why does that work? Why did they choose that? And then I like to do history. When I was a kid, I grew up and my first concert was George Benson. So I'm a big George Benson fan.
Of course.
Then I heard George Benson and I was like, well, what made George Benson George Benson? I heard Grant Green and I heard Kenny Burrell and I heard Wes Montgomery. So there's this line, and Wes Montgomery was influenced by Charlie Christian. And so you find out what they ate, you know?
Yep.
So Mike.
Yes, sir.
You were born in Rochester.
Yep. It's cold up there.
Yeah, it's a great town though. I mean, it's great. And I know you go back and you perform for the young musicians and you do clinics and concerts. What does it mean for you to get to go back and do that kind of stuff?
Everything. Because of my connection with Bill Tiberio from Fairport High School 35 years ago, stepping on the stage or walking into the band room there is like, holy crap, I got to where I'm at from, half of my teachers in high school wondering whether I'd even graduate because I skipped too many classes to be in the band room to practice. Now I'm coming back to do clinics with those kids to teach them. It's kind of like a full circle thing, and it's amazing. And, knowing that those kids know that I came from there gives them some sense of, not like I'm a Michael Jackson or some, worldly name, but like at least they know that there's a guy that was in that band room doing the same thing that they did, who's making a living playing music. So it's just kind of it warms your heart to know that, and the glue is Bill Tiberio. I mean, he is the one that keeps those connections happening and has stuff for the kids to do and provides an outlet for them and is so active in the community and giving back and been doing it so consistently for 42 years. It's hard to find.
That's great. I had a similar thing happen with me. I used to go back every year and play for the 8th graders of the school system.
There you go.
They had a thing called the concert experience. And so they would build the whole day around the music business, and they'd have people come in that worked for, promoters and radio stations, and it would lead up to this concert. And they actually had fake tickets to give to the kids for the show and everything else.
Awesome.
And I used to do it, and I did it I think I did like 19 years of it. And, and we were talking earlier off camera. I was actually getting stuff happen. Like first it was, "Hey, my mom went to school with you." And eventually it was, like, "My grandmother went to school with you." But it was really
when
cool
you were in high school.
Yeah.
I'm sure when you were in high school, did you have clinicians come into your school that you remembered coming in as like famous guys, and you just got to do a concert with them or something?
We did somewhat, but what mostly ours was we would travel. So we would have these competitions. And there was one in particular where Phil Woods was the main clinician.
Oh, man.
And he was great, man, because he was kind of rough on kids. The kids, there was this big band of kids, and it was kind of an all-star band. But he had us all play, and it was over a blues, like a B-flat blues.
Yep.
And
sure.
He stopped after everybody played, he goes, there's 3 people in this band that listen to music, the guitar player, the piano player, and the one tenor sax player. The rest of you need to get some records out. And he kind of chewed everybody out, but he was really great. I mean, what a fabulous musician.
But you remember that stuff.
Oh, you know,
that's
bet,
where
man.
I remember we were lucky because of Bill Tiberio and his connections and just drive to make the program amazing. Yeah. One of the artists that came in was a duo. It was Dave Mancini on drums and Dennis de Blasio on Barry sax. And they had a little duo thing that they did. And they did a little concert. They did clinics with us and everything. Now, fast forward to years ahead after that, which that left a lasting impression on me. I got to know Dennis de Blasio because he was a Maynard Ferguson alumni.
Oh, wow.
So when we were in Buffalo one year, he was there and came and sat in. And I'm like, dude, this is so like full circle. Like this guy taught me when I was in high school, like a little nothing, trying to figure things out. And now like we're playing on this band with Maynard Ferguson as both one of our heroes. Like it's just amazing. The world of music, how it can bring everybody together.
It is really amazing. And not even just other musicians. I mean, just the fact that you can go, like you're on tour with Gino. Right. And you could end up in another country that didn't speak English. Yep. And you're going to play for them and they're going to go nuts and they're going to love you, you know? I remember I did a gig in Hong Kong and we played 5 days in a row at the Asia World Arena and nobody spoke English.
Right.
And as soon as we started playing, though, they had glow sticks going, and they were having
really the universal language, man.
It really is. It really is. So, and how great it is that you're doing this on the scale that you're doing. And I think it's awesome.
Well, that's, everybody who's a great musician, good musician, average musician, you've put in some hours, you put in some work, and there's a ton of luck involved. Yeah. It's who you know, the relationship that you have had, the opportunities you've had. One thing leads to another. I did not set out to be a sax player that gets hired by these guys. I just wanted to be a good sax player. But along the way, the people that you meet and you realize the trail of breadcrumbs that you leave makes a difference for what's to come in the future. That's where I feel like that should be taught a little bit more, like you're the whole journey versus just the playing part of it.
I agree. In fact, I don't think they teach that stuff in music school. I think there's a lot of things they could teach. I find that having a good work ethic like you have, and it encompasses more than just working on the music. You work on relationships, you work on all that stuff, and you make sure that when you go to the gig, you're that guy that people want to be around. Right. I know guys that are great players that sometimes fail because they just can't get along with people, or they kind of have a bad vibe. And people don't want to hang.
A lot of guys they simply just have, demons in their life, whatever it is. It could be a little thing, but like stuff that can just get in the way of that relationship as a working band. And look, everybody's not meant to work with everybody. There are some scenarios where I've been in where I'm like, I did the job and I kind of feel like I did it, but I wasn't like, oh, this is a good fit for me. It's not always that way. Sometimes you do a job and you get it done because you try to be professional and do what needs to be done. But then there's the times you're like, oh my God, this was so me and it felt so right and this is where I need to be. That's a different story. That's how I feel with Gino right now. I'm like, it is like right where I think I need to be,
And you are, and you got there by doing all of the right things that you did throughout your life. It's snowball, it's a snowball. Yeah. I mean, it starts off small and you meet people and you do great work and you keep doing great work and you keep meeting people. And it really is. You created this snowball and it was a huge snowball and it's a great snowball. It's not
thank you.
Very firm snowball.
That's why I live in Florida, so I can't create any more snowballs.
We had a lot of snow where we are this year. It was too much for me.
Yeah, I got out before that happened.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we talked about you teaching at these clinics.
Yep.
And is there one lesson, if you had to give the kids one lesson, just one takeaway, and it's got to be beyond the music, what's the most important lesson you would share with them?
Beyond the music, Respect. Just because somebody's doing a gig that you wouldn't do or don't like the style of music or put it as beneath you or whatever. Dude, they're on their journey just like you were. We've all done them. Like, I don't care what musician. If a musician puts their nose up at somebody who's doing a weird, lame gig, they're lying through their teeth because they've done those gigs. We've all done them. We've done the gigs that suck. We've done the ones that are like, man, I hope nobody sees me here because this is kind of embarrassing. Like, we have, whether you like to admit it or not. And I think just having respect for what the musicians do and being a part of what they have and trying to fit into their world and make it better, that's kind of where you have to be. I mean, it's the, like you said, it's the universal language. So if you can kind of get in there with music and talk to each other, greater things will happen. And it might not be a year or 2 or 3 from now. You probably had experiences where 20 years ago you worked with somebody and then all of a sudden, boom, you're working with them again after 20 years go by and you're like, oh my God, this is just like old times.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. I know that. Well, that's great advice. It's funny. I've always tried to keep an open mind when it comes to music too. I tell my students, keep an open mind and never diminish simple things because I've had kids, Mike, and you've probably had this too. You're teaching and you have a young kid and they do something that is so unorthodox it's a mistake or whatever it is, or they approach something like a completely different way than what you would have shown them. And you hear them do this or see them do it and you say, that's actually pretty cool. I wouldn't have thought of doing it that way. So I kind of feel like it's kind of the same kind of thing, but keeping an open mind.
Well, the teacher can definitely learn from the student as well. Like they have, it's just like kids. When you think about just kids in general, they say things because their minds aren't as warped as ours after being on the planet. They're just more raw and real, and they just say things at face value.
True.
We think about things too much. So when you see a kid, it says, you'd be practicing a tune. He's like, oh, well, can I just do this? And you're like, well, no. Actually, you can just do that. But I didn't think about it that way because I'm so trained to think a certain way. So you're like, wow, kid's teaching me something,
Yes. So talking about telling a story, and I think you're a great storyteller with your soloing. You mentioned wanting to tell a compelling story through your music. What makes a musical performance feel like storytelling rather than just playing?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I maybe try to make it happen one day.
Oh, come on. I'm hard. I mean, you're a great storyteller.
It's hard, especially as an instrumentalist. You know that. You sing, so there's that connection when you do sing. But as an instrumentalist, you almost have to work 10 times harder to grab people's attention and to speak to them.
You do, but you have, and I find that people that I admire have ways of developing your solos. Let's say we're talking about a solo. You know how to tell a story. Right. It has natural peaks and valleys and all that stuff in the right places. Right. So you can tell your story. I think you're great at doing that.
Well, thank you. I think it comes from, not necessarily even transcribing, but just listening. Listening. I could name 2 or 3 or 4 solos that are if I want to remember that I don't know anything, I'll turn on a couple solos of, in my opinion, some of the most well-crafted saxophone solos where it just keeps your attention from the beginning to the end. And then you realize, okay, it can be done. Now I've just got to work harder to get there,
Okay. Can you name one of them?
Yeah. Michael Brecker with Steps Ahead from the Smoking in the Pit album.
There you go.
The album, it's called Teabag.
Yeah.
And it's just a shuffle tune. And it's the solo he takes is like this little journey of, oh, that's Brecker. Yep. Okay. That's really Brecker. Okay. That's why he's Brecker. Okay. I'm going to sit down and shut up now because, and then he just keeps going and going. You're like, just when you think that they're cranking as much as they can with Steve Gadd and Eddie Gomez and Don Grolnick and they're just a machine, man. And they're like just this feel thing that you can't teach. You just have to experience it. So I forced myself right here to sit down and listen to music like I did when I was in high school and got excited about it, because I think as you get older as a musician, you're more concerned with, okay, I got to learn this tune for this show, or I've got to practice this set of music for this guy, and I've got this gig and I have to learn this tune. I think the art of just sitting and listening to music to enjoy it can get lost really easily.
Oh, for sure.
And I try to force myself to do that. So I listen to playlists of music that I don't always know or listen to, and it's a rabbit hole of, oh, I like that band. And then you look for artists similar to, and then you keep going down that rabbit hole. And then eventually sometimes you come on something that's like, oh my God, where was this all my life? You know,
That's
so
great.
listening, you know?
Yep. And Michael Brecker, he's one of my big influences. I love him. And the thing that's great about Michael Brecker, if you see him in any of the interviews he did, he was so self-effacing. And the guy, much like a guitar player that I admire, Alan Holdsworth, he was an English guitar player, right?
Yeah.
And I've talked to him in person on several occasions, and man, you talk to the guy and you would think he's the worst guitar player that ever walked the earth.
Yeah.
He's so self-effacing, and I'm going, oh no. Like, you're incredible, you know? So
I'm not a guy I guarantee you, if you stacked up 30 people that knew me, Brecker is not one of the people that they would say that I would be like one of my influences. I really don't think that would be. It would be more the Stanley Turrentine, Lenny Pickett, you know, the funkier Cannonball and side of things, the more groovy, soulful kind of stuff. But for the food, for me, is all that inspiration from your Coltrane's and your Phil Woods and Cannonball Adderley and Brecker and all that. It just kind of takes it to another level. And then you pick and choose what you want. But I also know, let's be real, Brecker, there's only one Brecker. There, you know, Brecker, nobody will touch that, in my opinion. I don't see it.
There's only one anybody. That's another thing I kind of tell my students, because it can be overwhelming. You know, you when you start to compare people.
Right.
But I look at, you know, I have this fingerprint that's like my fingerprint, and you have your own, right? So there's only one Mike MacArthur. There's one Mike MacArthur, and you're him. And I think it's awesome that you're him, and you should be.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, man, you're
it's fun. The older I've got, I realize how lucky I am to be in the circles musically with the friends and peer group that I have and I've had for years. Starting, and a lot of it obviously roots in high school, but starting with, and I'm sure maybe you can ask Ron about this, but Ron and his brother Dave Reinhardt, their father owned a place called Norm's Place in Clearwater, Florida. When I first moved down here, that was school. Every Monday night, you would go to Norm's Place, and it was Tim George and Ron Reinhardt and Dave Reinhardt with special guests. And then you could sit in for a couple tunes and get your butt kicked and realize how hard you got to play the next time. And then you met all these people. And most of those musicians, after 30 years have gone by, are the guys that I'm still working with today.
That is so cool. And, you know, I have to count my blessings. I met you guys because I moved to Florida after an auto accident. So I was actually there to recover because the cold weather was not helping. So we ended up in Florida, and I would not know you. I wouldn't know Ron. I wouldn't know Dave. I wouldn't know Tim. I mean, I wouldn't know any of you guys or have played with you if it hadn't been for something bad that happened. So there's a silver lining in that kind of stuff. So I'm really grateful that you're my friend, and just know that I admire you. I admire your playing. I love your family.
The feeling is mutual, and we're all glad that you're doing as well as you are after you've been through everything you've been through, man.
It's been a little weird, but I'm hanging in, man, and I'm really thankful I'm able to create music, and thankfully I have all the use of my hands and everything else. So not doing live shows, but I'm doing everything else. So it's a little different because, you know, I mean, I love playing live for people, you know, so that's been a little tough. But anyway, you're so cool. And my friends, if you haven't heard Mike, you've heard him in the clips that I played for you earlier. And you've heard him on some of my tunes, but you got to check out Mike further because he's a wonderful, wonderful player. And you'll see him with Gino. You'll see him with Tower of Power. You'll see him with a bunch of the smooth jazz artists. I mean, he's a first call for all those guys. So make sure you check Mike out. You're going to love it.
Well, thanks for having me, brother. Your project is amazing. You listening to it one time, you can tell it comes from the heart, and there's a lot of thought behind what happened, and just everything was intentional, and
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
It was. I wrote the tunes just as like a means to recovery for me. I had a whole year of not being able to play or anything and recovering from my surgery and the sepsis and stuff. So it was like a year. It was like a whole year. And I just made it a point to like kind of supercharge my recovery by making myself get up and just pulling out my guitar and just writing some songs. And I made sure they weren't real complicated. Right. And I wanted them to be kind of soothing and something people can kind of just listen to and chill a bit and hopefully de-stress.
Mission accomplished.
Thank you. Well, I know one thing. I'm so grateful you're on it, and I'm hoping to have you on more stuff.
Thank you.
Know.
Okay, yeah, man. I'm ready to go. I got my horn, my mic right here, ready to go.
You're so great. Well, then you'll be on it.
Yep.
After performing around the world, what still inspires you to keep growing as an artist?
Wow. Oh boy. I think over the past 4 or 5 years, what's inspired me is how much fun you can still have playing music. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but for so many years, it's kind of the daily grind as to what, as a sax player, you're in the jazz world, but the smooth jazz world was making money decades ago. And that's where you kind of had to be if you wanted to be it. So I got to be a smooth jazz guy, but I'm really not a smooth jazz guy, but I have to be. And it's like this Jekyll and Hyde of where do you fit? I think as I got older, now I'm just like, I just want to pick up my saxophone and enjoy the crap out of playing music. So it almost doesn't matter what it is as long as it's done well. I'll play YMCA or Brick House or, Sweet Caroline. I don't care, but it's got to be played well. Like you got to want to do it. It's the ones that are just phoning it in where it's like, man, I could stay home and listen to music and be happier. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but I think it's just kind of being able to be happy when you play and enjoy music.
I know for myself, the only time I would be happy is if I felt like I gave my all and I actually connected with people. And I was around some musicians that they would look at it like, Mustang Sally, know, and then they would proceed to play like a crappy version.
Right.
And for me, it's like, I look at music, I'm a jazz guy growing up. I mean, I heard Coltrane and Wes Montgomery, and I used to make my mom play Wes Montgomery when I went to bed every night. But I love all kinds of music. So I grew up on rock and roll stuff and all this. So for me, I feel like if you, like you said, if your heart is in whatever you're doing, that it's going to be good, and and doing good and playing well will leave you happy, because I don't find that they're just phoning it in and just showing up and kind of being like, I don't find that would make, I don't think that makes you happy. But I know one thing, Mike MacArthur, you make people happy. You make people happy.
Oh man, thank you.
I've been on gigs with you. You always put your all into it. And I'm certain that Gino Vannelli couldn't be more thrilled having you next to him, because I see the videos, and when you step up, you're right there with Gino, and then he's got the
it's a dream, and that's
the greatest.
It doesn't get more real, and it doesn't get more gratifying, and
it's great. And
you pinch yourself on the way home.
Did you ever, when you were younger, did you listen to the Brother to Brother album much?
Not till later in life. No, not like in high school. No, that wasn't until like a college or after thing when I started playing tenor and getting more into like the horn sections and the band. Because if you look at the horn section world, the ones that are like the bands, the ones, you got Tower, Earth, Wind and Fire, and Chicago, and Santa Fe and the Fat City Horns, and Gino, and like Kool and the Gang. Like there aren't a ton of them. There are a lot who have horns, but the ones who are recognized for that, you kind of realized why they got there, because it was so hip and so good and so like, wow, that's the real deal. They set the standard.
The Brother to Brother album for me was huge because there's a guitar player, Carlos Rios, on that album.
Yeah.
And the solos were amazing. And I studied with Pat Martino. So Pat is a Philadelphia guy, and incredible. And when I heard that record, I was like, man, this guy's got like a rock sound, but he's playing lines that are similar to Pat Martino's stuff, but he bends and he has nice vibrato and all this stuff, and so that album, I listened to it over and over and over.
Well,
so when you let me know when you let me know you had the gig with Gino, I was so happy for you because I know what a musical like gold mine that is,
Well, his family, I mean, that's how he grew. His father was they were in big band, and he was growing up listening to big band, Gene Krupa and drummers, and he still plays timbales in the show. And, that was his background. So his love for the music is genuine, it's not just a show, it's his genuine life,
It sure is. And many people, when I mention him, they think his career sort of ended at like Living Inside Myself. Because how radio is and record companies are, they don't promote things after a while. And I say, no, this guy has a legacy of work that is still continuing. He's in his 70s and creating great music. So I urge all of you folks, if you see Gino's coming to town with Mike MacArthur, you got to get out there and hear
with Mike MacArthur.
No, Mike's on the gig. And in fact, I'm going to tell you right now, his drummer,
Reinhard Meltz.
Reinhard Meltz.
Yep.
Great drummer, right? Jay Coder playing guitar, great guitar player. Yep. I'm not sure who's playing piano now because it's not the same person I saw last.
David Goldblatt.
Okay, David Goldblatt. Yeah, he's great. He's great.
He's a monster.
Yes, he is.
Damien Erskine on bass.
Peter Erskine's nephew, correct?
That's right, man.
Yeah. So, great band. Always. I've never heard Gino without stellar musicians, which is another feather in your cap, Mike, because you're one of those guys, Thank you. So listen, thank you for coming on this podcast of mine. Of
course, man. This is a blast.
Yeah, because you're awesome, and I'm so thankful you're on the tunes you're on my CD, and I hope that you'll do more because I have other tunes that'll be coming up, and I'll have you any day that you'll say yes.
Absolutely, man. And you make sure and tell your lovely wife Kay I said hello, and I'll get to see you both face to face in what?
Yes, you will. Month? You will, and you tell Danny and Sydney that we said hey, and your father, because I've met your father.
Yeah.
So
getting older and acting younger. It's great.
That's good to hear. That's the way you got to be.
Yeah, man.
Watch him carefully and learn.
I know. We keep an eye on him.
All right, Mike, you are so awesome, man. I'm so blessed that
you too, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
You're
man.
the best.